In Eastern Ireland, a cluster of burial mounds were designed to mark the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice, when the days begin to grow longer and warmer. And a primitive farming people were reassured that soon it would be time to plant again. The greatest among them is the prehistoric site at Newgrange, a huge circular grave some 250 feet across. A long stone passageway extends from the entrance to a great vaulted chamber where the ancients preserved the bones of their dead. Above the entrance is a rectangular stone box. The tomb was aligned so a shaft of light from the rising sun on the winter solstice would enter the box, travel down the stone passageway, and illuminate the rear of the chamber wall. Many hundreds of miles away, on the Salisbury Plain in southern England, is perhaps the best-known solar temple and calendar of the ancient world. When these massive stones were somehow levered into place, Egyptians were only beginning to build pyramids, and yet the awesome structure at Stonehenge could accurately track the cycles of the sun, moon, and stars, suggesting an understanding of the cosmos far from primitive. Stonehenge is aligned to the rising and setting of the sun. At the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the sun rises over the marker known as the heel stone. At midwinter, it sets at the direct opposite end of the monument.
We don't know why Stonehenge was built. It was clearly a site that had a very intense ceremonial purpose to it. We know that it was aligned on the midwinter, midsummer solstice directions. They wouldn't go to all that bother to build something that was just a calendar. Clearly the place had some sort of religious significance as well. People in prehistoric times didn't think of the cosmos in the way we do, but they still tried to understand the cosmos in their ways. And they tried to reflect what they perceived as the structure of the cosmos in where they put things on the ground, how they designed things in ways they walked through the ground. It's quite probable that Stonehenge itself was some sort of model of the cosmos.
From Stonehenge to ancient Egypt, worship of a sun god continued to bear testament to the power of the heavens on earth. One pharaoh, Akhenaten, was engaged in a bitter struggle with the priesthood by claiming a direct alliance with Egypt's all-powerful sun god.
Egypt was a constant tension between the bureaucracy of the priesthood and the pharaoh who sometimes occupied the pinnacle or the top of the pyramid of power. And Akhenaten really was a threat to the established priesthood and was trying to put himself as an advocate and as an alliance with the sun.
1400 years before the birth of Christ, Akhenaten proclaimed the sun god all-powerful and banned the worship of any other. In ancient Egypt, the sun was called the Aten, the pharaoh's name meaning loosely friend of the sun. Akhenaten closed any temple not in tribute to the Aten, and marshaled gangs to literally wipe the names of all other gods from all public buildings. All mankind was to worship the sun, the Aten, the sole and supreme deity. But encouraged by their priests, the people rose up, refusing to abandon the old gods and goddesses. Soon after Akhenaten's death, the old gods were restored, and a new pharaoh, a boy of just 9, came to the throne. His real name was Tut-Ankh-Aten, again in honor of the sun. But with the disgrace of the previous pharaoh, the young king would become known instead as Tut-Ankhamun, the most famous Egyptian king in history. But for the ancient Egyptians, the sun was even more than an object of worship and the foundation of a religious sect. It provided the basis of their understanding of the seasonal year, a legacy still with us today. Earlier civilizations in Mesopotamia had noticed how the sun appeared to move eastward in a distinct pattern against the backdrop of stars from day to day. It was a sophisticated discovery. First, they created a map of the stars. Then they noticed that each day the sun would rise and set at a slight but discernible interval further along against the background of stars. To complete one full circuit of the entire star field, the Egyptians knew it took the sun roughly 360 days. To this day, a circle is divided into 360 degrees, each degree representing the distance travelled by the sun against the background of stars in one day. And yet the ancient Egyptians were well aware that the true year is 365, not 360 days. They complicated matters by also using a calendar of 12 30-day months. Nothing added up, until some creative arithmetic. Their official year still lasted 360 days, but they simply declared the other 5 didn't exist. Officially, that is. Instead, that time was given over to an orgy of merriment and feasting on specially slaughtered animals, revealed to us on carvings in the temple at Luxor. Through the ancient Greeks and later the Romans, modern Western culture has inherited the Egyptian and Mesopotamian calendar and astronomy. But even their 365-day year is not perfect. The year, in fact, is 365 1/4 days long, a difference that may not seem like very much, but over a period of centuries, it adds up. Each year, a quarter of a day was being lost. So when the Romans inherited the calendar, in one bold stroke, Julius Caesar declared that every 4 years an extra day would be added to the year, a leap year, thus replacing the 4 quarter days that had been lost. And the Julian calendar, as it was known, worked well until the 16th century, when the seasons were noticeably out of alignment again. It seems too many leap years had been added. So in 1582, a commission under the Pope looked at the misalignment and, like Caesar before him, settled the problem by declaration. He removed 10 days from that year. The problem was that the true year, the time it takes for the Earth to orbit once around the Sun, is actually slightly less than 365 1/4 days.
The Pope created a formula to keep these dates in step. From then, every centennial year would have to be divisible by 400 to become a leap year. So the centennial years of 1700, 1800, 1900 had no leap years. The first centennial year to have a February 29 will be the year 2000. The formula is accurate to within 26 seconds a year, so it will be about 3,320 years before we need to make another adjustment.
Most of the world slowly accepted the Pope's changes, but the Russians only agreed to losing those days in 1917, after the revolution. Yet by then, their calendar was so far out of kilter with the rest of the world, their October Revolution was actually a November Revolution everywhere else. The sun's seasonal cycle gave the world a simple, unified calendar. And yet, when some cultures insisted on incorporating the moon's 29.5-day moonths, inevitably, problems arose. 12 moonths only add up to 354 days. So the beginning of spring, marked by the equinox in late March, would come later and later, wending its way through to September. Only after 32.5 years would spring arrive back in March, where it started.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
And while much of the world was intent on perfecting the basic solar calendar, many ancient religions turned to the moon to define their year. The Islamic calendar is based on the cycles of the moon, meaning the month-long fast of Ramadan moves slowly from a summertime observance to wintertime, then back again over many years. Because the Christian festival of Easter is timed to the Jewish calendar, and the holy days of Passover, which are also dictated by the cycles of the moon, the celebration of Christ's resurrection takes place at a different time each solar year.